You are looking at 30, 40, 50 years in prison.
Good. Good.
I understand.
Absolutely good. I hope you are.
Okay, that response had some Giga Chad energy. This would be a spicy take if you're one of those soy, nonce is bad kind of person. That's a nonce with a foot fetish. The worst kind of nonce. Yeah.
No, Senator, I didn't say versus.
That's exactly what you said. I think the best way to
Oh no,
deter
gaslighting.
people from-
Oh my god, I said this earlier. I said this exact thing. Good take from Hassan. Little touch of soy, but I'll let that go. So, okay, we're spoiling it a bit because we're going to get into this beef here. I don't know much about it. I've just sort of seen it, and I feel like people haven't really spoken about it that much. And I think it could be interesting to talk about because, I mean, on initial glance, it looks like Hassan and Anna Kasparian are beefing. Well, no, DK, I don't think it's going to be a Hassan hate sex segment. I don't think it's going to be. I think I actually need to. Well, we'll see. We'll read this take. We'll take it in, and we'll see what we think. Okay. Let me just change the stream title first. Okay. Okay. So basically, this was tweeted out. Okay. Look, it's got to be said. Okay. Listen. I am quite critical of Hassan. Okay. I've made quite a bit of content criticizing Hassan, but I saw this. And let's just see what happens. So Hassan tweeted this out. Americans are so brain broken about crime and automatically assume that lenient sentencing in our draconian, inhumane criminal justice system means that you support the crime and the criminal rather than having a restorative, rehabilitative approach centering justice. I pretty much agree with this, more or less. I think the way it's worded. I mean, look, it's Hassan, right? Listen, it's Hassan. It's a bit soy in how it's worded. I can't deny that, okay? I've got to... if I see soy, I'm going to call it out, okay? But I do think that overall, I do agree with the sentiment behind this, right? Because... Oh, is this about some actual politics I can get into? Amazing. This is the first time in a while. This is going to be great, okay? So, it depends what we're talking about, I guess, really. Because... my understanding then, just vaguely, is that the new Supreme Court Justice being interviewed, or whatever they call it, right? My understanding is that this Supreme Court Justice has given lenient sentences to nonces before. Now, that maybe sounds bad in and of itself, but I'd need to know more information about it, okay? But just to explain my kind of thinking on this, right, when it comes to, like, criminal justice and stuff like that, I think that this is the same in England as well and most of the UK, right? But here's the thing. People think that punishment equals justice, yeah? That's no one's individual fault, in my opinion. I think that attitude is cultivated in our society, where even like at school, like if you think back to school, my experience at least, was very much like if you had like if you did something wrong, it was treated with punishment rather than like an approach that maybe might make you think about not doing it again or something like that. Do you see what I mean? So yeah, I think that this is a problem with how things are, and I think that we do need to move towards a society where we're a bit more open to the idea that you don't need to like put someone in jail for 20 or 30 years to reduce the chances of them committing crime again, which to me is probably the most important thing of putting someone away, is making it so they come out and don't do it again and they're able to re-enter society in a healthy way. Right? Like that to me is what it should be all about. Now, yes, there needs to be some sort of a deterrent in place. So there needs to be some sort of like something imposed upon you. So it disincentivizes you from doing it, right? But broadly, I think that a lot of the time we're focused more on punishing and making it so the person is punished over rehabilitation. Now, that's not to say that there's no rehabilitation whatsoever in our current system. Whilst I don't know the ins and outs of it, I think that there is a level of that. But I think societally we're more guided towards harsh punishments over anything else, you know? So, yeah. I do agree with Hassan here. Good take from Hassan. Little touch of soy, but I'll let that go. Okay, so there we go. Don't let it be said that I'm never willing to give Hassan a level of praise. If I think he's right. Anyway, to get to the other point of this, okay, Anna responds with this. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm entering this and I've got no clue what she's talking about. So you're going to have to help me out a bit with this because I'm lost.
Welcome to Chud Nation.
A little touch of soy can make the rice taste better. True, Grimpy Coffee. I agree with you. Right. So I might need your help with this. We've seen the rehabilitative approach play out in California, right? If that's what you think works, we're in a lot of trouble. And then I saw my boy Know Nothing respond with this. And I'm like, okay, if Know Nothing thinks this is a bad take, there must be something to it, okay? So does anyone know what she's talking about? Hassan was talking about the SCOTUS picks lenient sentencing. She's talking about stabbings and murders. Okay. We'll get to that in a sec. Let's have a look at this, though. True Malma, are we gonna argue about this? It's fine if we do. I don't mind having a little fight with you. I'll be nice this time, though. Right, what's this?
In comes the internet. On the internet, with one click, you can receive, you can distribute tens of thousands. You can be doing this for 15 minutes, and all of a sudden, you are looking at 30, 40, 50 years in prison.
Good. Good.
I understand.
Absolutely
Senator,
good. I hope you are.
to do.
Okay, that response had some Giga Chad energy, okay? That response had some Giga Chad energy, but I don't know if... Well, are they talking about... Listen, I don't want to say... Okay, I don't want to say because it might be a problem for the YouTube stuff. Are we talking about the worst thing you can find on the internet? Right, yeah. I got you, okay. So, right, I think I understand. So what they're talking about is distribution in the online age. Like, are they talking about how some of these laws were designed for times when what you send, like, I don't know, you'd be like contacting some nonce and you'd be like, oh, hey, I've seen your advert in a magazine for, you know what, here's $100, and they used to send you some Polaroids of a, you know what. And that's what it used to be like 40 years ago. But now you can distribute this stuff in the click of a button, and it's distributed thousands and thousands of times, and you're getting penalized for the high level of distribution, but it's only as a result of the online digital age, right? Is that what we're saying? Is that right? Okay, I'm going to need a longer video. This is only I feel like, listen, I feel like my girl's getting clip chimped here, okay? I feel like my girl's getting clip chimped. I've only heard her say a little bit. I need to understand the fuller context of what's being discussed, okay? I think we might have to... Listen, it's really hard for... Okay, let me tell you what I am with it, okay? Listen, let me tell you what I am with it, all right? I find it very difficult to engage with this topic because I've got kids, okay? And I have an extremely aggressive, irrational response because I've got kids. So, like, for example, right, I'm reading through the paper and I read about a kid getting nonced up or harmed in some way, and I just lose it. I lose my rag, okay? True Malma, I want to listen to her, but you've only given me this little clip. We'll watch the full VOD or whatever. We'll find a VOD of it. Washington Post streamed it on YouTube, right? I think when it comes to laws around this sort of thing, right? Do you want to know the reality of it? I don't care about punishment. What I care about is kids being protected, okay? My primary concern when it comes to these laws that are supposed to deal with this is about the kids' protection over anything else, okay? Because at the end of the day, I don't care what happens to some nonce, right? If you care about how long a nonce gets in prison, right, you've engaged in the feral monkey brain, okay? And that's what I do. I know because I do it as well, right? If I hear about a kid getting nonced or a kid getting hurt in some way, I lose it, and I just want to become the Punisher, okay? I just want to become the Punisher, which is literally crazy. and I don't agree with the death penalty, but I changed my mind in an instant, in a heartbeat, for that reason. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, I don't care about the sentencing. I mean, obviously there has to be something. I don't think they should just be like, right, slap on the wrist, off you go. But my primary concern is making sure kids are looked after, because guess what? I've got fucking kids, okay? And I don't want my kids to be harmed in some way. And if the law isn't set up correctly, and it means that it puts them at more risk, then that's wrong. Do you see what I mean? Anyway, let's watch this.
If you believe, as I do, the computer has created a bigger demand. There are more photos out there because of the internet, more websites exposing this garbage. Wouldn't you want to deter people from going down that road?
Senator, this crime is among the most difficult.
No, answer my question. Wouldn't you want to deter people from going down the road of using the computer that allows...
Do you know? Okay, right. Listen. I've just had a thought. I'm going to throw out my perspective on this, okay? I don't think that heavy sentencing and penalizing times in prison is gonna necessarily help alleviate this, right? I think it's about limiting access, so making it so it's not available to people as much as possible. Obviously, especially with the dark web, it becomes very difficult because, you know, a lot of these places can just fucking crop up. And they can't be regulated in the same way. I don't know much about it, but they can't be regulated in the same way as they can on the normal web. And obviously there's like forums and stuff probably as well. Even there's stuff like, you know, Prostasia. Do you remember the Prostasia drama that happened a couple of months ago? And like they have got this forum, and it's supposed to be like a support group, but they're just on there like indulging in all of their horrid fantasies and stuff like that. So my point is like, I think that limiting access is going to be... Because, okay, here's my thought process on it, right? Let's say that imagine you're a nonce, okay? You're marginalized by society, right? You're hated by society. Whether you offend or not, you're probably going to be hated. Liberal mind, look at liberal mind was fucking straight on it. Sorry, listen, I'm only memeing, okay? I just think that, like, why do people do it? Like, sentencing for like that sort of thing is quite heavy. Why do people continue to do it? Like, what would limit it? What would limit it more? Would it be heavier sentencing, or if you could press a button, say, and you could limit further the access that's available online to these sorts of images? Like, I don't know. I just don't know. I'm not sold on the idea that just putting super heavy sentencing on these people is necessarily the best path to deal with this issue. I think that if you've got that, because remember, it's like a disorder, like it's like a disordered paraphilia or something like that, right? So it's like, it's not something they can even control. They've just got this thing, and the resources that are available to try and deal with it aren't actually that good, right? Do you see what I mean? Exactly. Yes. They need professional help. Yes, they need professional help. They need therapists and stuff, right? They need people to actually speak to them, to stop them from getting to that place. So I think it's about reducing access. I think it's about better healthcare for those kinds of people. I don't know if I like the idea of like, right, just get them when they offend and then lock them up for fucking however long. Like, I feel like there needs to be a punishment. I don't disagree with that. You know, there needs to be a disincentive. But I just think that, yeah, there's probably a better way to deal with it than just lock them in prison for 1 billion years. But that's listen, all of societal ills, that's the fucking Republican response, isn't it? Oh, we got a problem in society. Well, the people that are doing the bad things, just put them in jail. Problem solved.
Allows these people to have access to millions of photos because of the technology. I want those people deterred.
Senator,
so if you're listening to my voice today and you're on a computer looking at child pornography and you get caught, I hope your sentence is enhanced, because the computer and the internet is feeding the beast here. That all these images out there are going to be more over time because people use computers. Now, didn't you also say that the number of images should not be considered as a sentence enhancement?
Senator, with respect to the computer, one of the most effective deterrents.
So yeah, basically what he's done is he's just done nonce is bad. You realise he's just gone nonce is a bad. Like, this is the kind of stuff we talk about. This is like virtue signaling. He is fucking... Oh my God. He is fucking virtue signaling. He is literally virtue signaling, okay? He is soying out right now. He is literally doing the thing that people do online where they go, nonce is bad. Jesus Christ, these people are all the same.
Deterrence is one that I imposed in every case and that judges across the country impose in every case, which is substantial supervision. Any of these
Wait a minute,
defendants.
Judge. You think it is a bigger deterrent to take somebody who's on a computer looking at sexual images of children in the most disgusting way is to supervise their computer habits versus putting them in jail?
No, Senator, I didn't say versus.
That's exactly what you said. I think the best way to
Oh, no,
deter
gaslighting.
people from getting on a computer and viewing thousands and hundreds and over time, maybe millions, the population as a whole, of children being exploited and abused every time somebody clicks on is to put their ass in jail, not supervise their computer usage.
Senator, I wasn't talking about.
I mean, I don't understand the So, someone lent me an article. Can we look at this article quickly before we get back to this? Sorry, I feel like we're getting a bit all over the place, but I don't know anything about this, so I'm kind of learning as I go. What's this? Fact check. Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson sentences pretty mainstream. Supreme Court confirmation hearings opened this week with a flurry of misleading accusations by Republican Senator Josh Hawley that the nominee had a long record of letting blank offenders off the hook during sentencing. In every single blank case for which we can find records, I can't say it just in case of the YouTube thing, Judge Jackson deviated from the federal sentencing guidelines in favor of blank offenders, Hawley tweeted Thursday, highlighting 9 cases from a time as a federal district court judge. While court records show that oh my gosh, a Supreme Court nominee facing emotional questioning by the opposing party's senators. Yeah, but if it's based on, like, complete nonsense, then that's not on, is it? Like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, I expect them to get a grilling, but if the grilling is unfair and based on unfair premises, then that's wrong. This is very common. And I'm not saying it's not common, right? But, like, I don't know. Like, yeah, I want to talk about it. Sorry, do you have a problem with me looking at this? Not you, Dario. You're chill. But, like, yeah, I have a problem with this, so I'm going to talk about it. Like, what's your problem? I'm relaxed with you. It's this other person who's talking about Brett Kavanaugh for some reason. Yeah, if there was stuff in Brett Kavanaugh that was cringe, that shouldn't have happened either. Sure, I'll eat the bullet on that one. I don't fucking care. Yeah, sure. I'm sure there was some cringe stuff the Democrats did. You're just mad about something that happened 5 years ago or whatever it was. I get it. Anyway, come on. Yeah, exactly. I'm like one of the lefties that is probably would get called a cringe Democrat criticizer or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, come on. Stop stunlocking me. While court records show that Jackson did impose lighter sentences than federal guidelines suggested, Hawley's insinuation neglects critical context, including the fact that the senator himself has voted to confirm at least 3 federal judges who also engaged in the same practice. Oh my God. I love politics. And the reality is that Jackson behaved the way a tenth of Kavanaugh's ridiculous theatrics, she'd be out of here fast as fuck. I'll be honest with you. I'm not like super invested in the judge thing. I'm not covering this because I'm like, oh, you know, I want to comment on her getting approved or not. It doesn't really mean that much to me, as it might for some of you. I know it would probably be good. This would be good for like the Democrats, right? Is that right? If she gets approved, there'll be less of a bias towards conservatives at the Supreme Court, something like that. I think I kind of get it. But yeah, for me, it's just the fact that Hassan has triggered this discourse, and for once, I actually agreed with Hassan. Right. Federal Appeals Court judges Joseph Bianco of the Second Circuit and Andrew Brasher of the 11th Circuit, both Trump appointees, the article states, had each previously sentenced defendants convicted of possessing, you know what, to prison terms well below federal guidelines at the time they were confirmed with Hawley's support. An ABC review of court records found a hypocrite, a rightoid hypocrite. Can you believe it? Is it hypocrisy? It's more just playing politics, right? That's what this is. It's more just rightoids playing politics. Asked about the votes Monday, Senator Hawley made clear he never supported a High Court nominee with a similar record. Not for this court, I haven't. Not for the US Supreme Court. Oh, so because it's the Supreme Court, yeah, that's a difference, okay. Or is it maybe that he didn't care when it was a bunch of rightoids? Maybe he didn't do the due diligence when it was a bunch of rightoids. He was like, they're Republican? Yeah, no problem, they got my vote. Jesus. It's so obvious. Look! Oh my God! Suggested he was not aware of the times judges Bianco and Brasher and a third judge had rendered such judgments. Yeah, funny that, isn't it? Funny that when it's someone on his side, he doesn't really want to look into it as much. He doesn't quite have the time. He doesn't quite have the time to dig into the ins and outs of it when they're on his side, right? But when it's on the other side, fucking everything gets laid bare. I'm sure Democrats do this too, okay? Listen, to you centrists, okay? I'm sure Democrats do this as well, all right? Listen, they've all got their... I tell you what, right? There was a controversy that happened in the UK, and it was about expenses, right? It was about politician expenses, and they were claiming for like all sorts of crazy stuff, right? They were claiming for all sorts of crazy stuff. And you would think, oh, I bet the Tories were all doing that, weren't they? No, Labour politicians were doing it too. The left and the right were doing it, right? They were claiming for like a little duck house for their property. They were claiming some expensive office they probably didn't really need. All of it on the taxpayer dime. All of it on the taxpayer dime. You know. Yeah, bedroom, the second, yeah, I need a second home. What for? For business affairs, for me being a politician, and it's just like a nice little holiday home. You know? In America, Democrats are based. I'm sorry, liberal mind, okay? But I am fairly certain, I would put money on it, that certain Democrats at least would engage in similar behaviour where they don't do the same level of due diligence if someone's on their side. But they go into the nitty-gritty when it's the other way around. Like, come on, that's cope. That's pure cope. I think some people go a bit crazy with the criticisms of the Dem, but come on, that's mental. Anyway, come on. Anyway, is there more to it than this? Let's keep reading. Berman also points out government prosecutors often request below-range sentences, including in most of the Jackson cases that Hawley cited. The guidelines are now purely advisory, and many judges of all stripes routinely find that within-guideline sentences are unduly harsh, in particular when it comes to first-time offenders, said Cardozo law professor and ABC News legal analyst Kate Shaw. The U.S. Sentencing Commission, the bipartisan body created by Congress to set federal sentencing rules, explained in its 2021 report the suggested prison terms for defendants convicted of you-know-what, as opposed to producing the materials, have been subject to long-standing criticism from stakeholders and as one of the lowest rates of within-guideline range sentences each year. Okay, listen. This will be a spicy take if you're one of those soy, nonsense bad kind of person, right? Producing it is worse than consuming it, okay? That should be fucking obvious, no? Does anyone disagree with that? No, which is worse? Which both are bad. What do you mean both are bad? Which is worse, watching it or making it? What are you fucking talking about? Are you insane? Come on, you are insane if you're going to give me the both sides thing, right? If you're going to give me the both sides on the people that produce and consume, you know what? I'm going to lose it. What's wrong with your brain? Because people don't want to admit that if you consume it, you shouldn't get the same level of sentence as if you produce it, right? They want to act like everyone goes into the fucking solo confinement for 100 years. You watch a single second of some of that, stuff. That's it. You fucking get put in prison for 1 billion years. Making it so much worse. Of course it is. Less than 1/3 of non-production blank offenders received a sentence within the guideline range to fiscal year 2019. Judge Jackson's record in these cases does show that she is quite sceptical of the ranges set by the guidelines, but so too were prosecutors in the majority of her cases, and so too were district judges nationwide. So it just sounds like it's just a random slur, right? As in, commentary made to denigrate a character. It seems like she's acting fairly reasonably in all of this. Does anyone disagree? People are trying to act like she's there and they've got some absolute turbo nonce in front of her, right? And and they've R-worded 1 billion whats, right? They've committed. Oh God, I can't say what I want to say because I'm worried about getting banned, and also I'm also worried about the YouTube monetization. Okay, they're acting like she's got Gary Glitter in front of her. Okay, Gary Glitter.
Ah, yes. Meth heads and meth dealers are truly equals.
Hey, Fresh Bits, thanks for the bits. They're acting like Gary Glitter himself, or Jared Fogle, the nonce from Subway. They're acting like that nonce from Subway is in front of her, right? Committed atrocious crimes, terrible crimes. And she's like, well, are you sorry for what you've done? And he's like, yeah, I am, to be honest. I've done a terrible thing and I'm very sorry for anyone I've upset. And she's like, well, you little scamp. How long have you spent in custody? What, 2 months? Well, that should be enough. On your way, you little scamp. And off they go out the door, Off they go out the door. Oh, and whilst you're at it, we'll give you an anonymous internet connection so you can look up whatever you like, if you know what I mean. Off you go, you scamp. No, I don't think that's what's happening here. I don't think she's just giving them a slap on the wrist. Yeah, I'm being super cautious with watching any banned streamers from now on, because a streamer just got suspended for watching Dr. Disrespect on stream, and people keep telling me, oh, it's fine, that was live, but I got a warning for watching a VOD of a banned streamer a few months ago, so I'm being extremely cautious right now. Anyway. Judge Jackson, yeah. Republican Senator Mike Lee of Utah, member of the Judiciary Commission, suggested Thursday that regardless of the context around Jackson's sentences, he remains concerned. The White House's whataboutist response to the Judge Jackson very real record in these cases is dismissive, dangerous, and offensive. We need real answers, he tweeted. Jesus. This it just seems like classic, inconsistency in this sort of thing, depending on whether they're on your side or not. That's what it seems like to me. I mean, I'm willing to take in more information. If you've got more information to me to look at, and if you've got anything specific Like, if you've got something specific that you think I'm missing, show it to me and I'll look at it. But I'm not seeing anything here that I think is a substantive evidence that she is like goes super easy on nonces. I just think it just sounds like something that they can use to batter her over the head with, in order to kind of cast a bit of doubt on her getting appointed. That's what it seems like to me.
Versus.
You just said you thought it was a deterrent to supervise them. I don't think it's a deterrent. I think the deterrent is putting them in jail.
Senator,
the
would you let
sentencing
her
have a
respond?
deterrent component.
Senator, would you let her respond?
Yes.
Right. Okay, then. ACA 98, right? I tell you what you're going to do for me right now is you're going to go and get me a link which demonstrates that, okay? Off you go. Go and get me a link. I'm not going to take it from you in chat because you sound like a total idiot. So why don't you just pop off and get me a little link? Off you go. Thank you very much.
Does sentencing have a deterrent component?
Yes, Senator. Deterrence is one of the purposes of punishment, and Congress has directed courts to consider various means of achieving deterrence. One of them, as you've said, is incarceration. Another, as I tried to mention, was substantial periods of supervision once the person...
So if I could may ask you, in your view, it's more of a deterrent to have somebody substantially supervised?
Wait, why have you sent me this link? Wait, this is for people who have actually looked at images. You're going to sully my search history or whatever. My PC, I'm going to keep getting adverts now for like, you know, it'll be like, you know, you need to get help, speak to someone, you know, adverts for Mr. Girl's YouTube videos. It'll be loads of stuff like that now. Well, you've ruined me.
In terms of their computer use, who's looking at child pornography, than it is to put them in jail.
Senator, I'm not saying it's more or
That's
less.
exactly what you're saying.
What I'd like to point out
I'll watch this
is
as
that
well.
if we're going to,
And I'll confess, Judge.
if
We'll speed it up a bit, though.
let me say it this way. Congress has authorized courts to use a number of different means to achieve the purposes of punishment.
And one of
the-
them is an enhanced punishment by using a computer.
The enhancement with respect to using a computer relates to the penalty in terms of incarceration.
And you would choose not to apply that in these cases. You've said that. I'll read you the quote, but you've decided not to apply the use of a computer as an enhancement. You've also said you're not going to hold the number of images that the person has looked at as a sentencing enhancement factor. Is that true?
No, Senator, it's not the number of images that the person has looked at because we don't have that information.
Well-
It is the number of images that they've either received.
Oh my God. He doesn't know what he's talking about. How the hell are you going to tell how many images someone has looked at? That's impossible. You can't tell that. What is he on about? Unless you dive into someone's fucking brain. What a fucking idiot. He doesn't care and he doesn't know. Do you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of that US senator that said that, like, the internet is a series of tubes. Do you remember when the guy said the internet's a series of tubes and he was trying to explain how the internet works? And, you know, obviously he was completely unable to because he genuinely believed that the internet is a series of tubes.
Or distributed
Well,
that are
we don't know if they looked at them, but you're not going to hold it against them that they received 10,000 images versus 100.
that's not what I've said, Senator.
Well, here's what you said. I've decided to apply my general policy disagreement with respect to those enhancements. At least that is the computers and the number of images. Folks, what she is saying, the reason she's always below the recommendation, I think, is because she doesn't use the enhancements available to her. She takes them off the table. And I think that's a big mistake, Judge. I think that every federal judge out there should make it harder for somebody to go on a computer and view this filth. That if you use that venue, which is the venue of choice for all these child...
Wait, is this the video?
Is allowing all of these entities that support this to provide streaming stuff going on the internet. Now, the internet, you know, let's go back. Internet started with a concept of local to local connections across the country, You could go for Air Alaska, but you had to go through local connections to get there. The industry wisely provided for streaming for, in effect, a new kind of long distance, and that's what we've got. We've got a service that's immune to distance, and it's there for the consumer. But when we take and really indicate that anyone that wants to use this system for massive commercial purposes. There's one company now. You can sign up and you can get a movie delivered to your house daily.
What's he even talking about?
By delivery service. Okay. And currently it comes to your house.
Yeah. The internet was a military thing, right? Because the whole point of the internet was they wanted to create a network with which they could allow like different military like contact points or whatever to continue to communicate with one another, even if like one link in the chain got taken out or something like that. I had it explained to me when I was like 14 or something by my gay. It was by my gay uncle's boyfriend. My gay uncle, who was also married, his boyfriend sat down and explained it to me. Oh my God, that is a vivid memory I've just got back.
In the mailbox when you get home, annually or monthly, you change your order. But you pay for that, right? This service is now going to go through the internet, and what you do is you just go to a place on the internet, and you order your movie, and guess what? You can order 10 of them, and it's delivered to you, and this delivery charge is free, right? 10 movies streaming across that internet. And what happens to your own personal internet? I just the other day got internet was sent by my staff at 10 o'clock in the morning on Friday. I got it yesterday. Why? Because it got tangled up with all of these things that are going on the internet commercially. And here we have this one situation where enormous entities want to use the internet for their purpose to save money for doing what they're doing now. They use FedEx. They use the delivery services. They use the mail. They deliver in other ways, but they want to deliver vast amounts of information over the internet. And again, the internet is not something that you just dump something on. It's not a big truck. It's a series of tubes. And if you don't understand those tubes can be filled, and if they're filled, when you put your message in, it gets in line, it's going to be delayed by anyone that puts into that tube enormous amounts of material.
How the hell was that like allowed? Why did no one step in and go, excuse me, sir, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about here. What are you on about?
Pornography cases that you use it against them. I think the more you download, like drugs, the more you have, the more you should go to jail. You've made a conscious decision to disregard those two enhancement sentencing factors, and I think that is a wrong way to go in terms of deterrent. To me, putting somebody in jail for using a computer is more of a deterrent than supervising their activity of watching the computer. That's just a difference that we have.
I'm going to give the witness an opportunity to respond to you, Senator.
Finally.
At the time that the guidelines were created for child pornography, this crime was primarily being committed by people who were literally mailing.
Oh my God, I said this. I said this earlier. I said this exact thing. Oh my God, I'm so amazing. How can you believe how amazing? I literally said this earlier. Yes, when you're online, you can distribute things like so quickly, but it's not the same level of severity, right? I didn't pre-watch this. I've not watched any of this.
1, 2, 5, 10, 100 photos at a time.
How's it being committed now?
Would she please
Go
have
ahead.
her complete her answer?
Go ahead.
As a result, the commission determined in the guidelines that it was a substantial aggravating factor if the facts of the case demonstrated that someone had been distributing hundreds of images. Because what that meant was, over this long, maybe it was a long period of time, they had collected one photo at a time, they had amassed it, they had potentially mailed one at a time, and that showed really aggravated, terrible conduct. I'm not saying as a baseline it's not terrible, it's all terrible. But what we're doing is we're differentiating among defendants. So in a world in which the mail is used for the purpose of distribution, it really matters whether the person has distributed 1 or 5 or 1,000. And so the guideline says, you know what? we are going to treat a person who's distributed 1,000 a lot worse, because that shows that this person is really engaged in this really horrible behavior. In comes the internet. On the internet, with one click,
Oh my God.
you can receive, you can
Oh my God, I literally said this. Oh my God.
distribute tens of thousands. You can be doing this for 15 minutes, and all of a sudden, you are looking at 30, 40, 50 years in prison.
Good.
Cut.
Good.
I understand,
Absolutely
Senator, but what
good. I
we're
hope you
trying
are.
to do-
Good.
Allow her to finish, please.
I hope you go to jail for 50 years if you're on the internet.
Yep. I told you. It's virtue signaling. It's nonsense bad. It's nonsense bad.
Trolling for images of children in sexual exploitation. So you don't think that's a bad thing? I think that's a
That's
horrible
not
thing.
what the witness said, and she should be allowed to answer this question once and for all.
Senator, all I'm trying to explain is that our sentencing system, the system that Congress has created, the system that the Sentencing Commission is the steward of, is a rational one. It's a system that is designed to help judges do justice in these terrible circumstances by eliminating unwarranted disparities, by ensuring that the most serious defendants get the longest periods of time. And when modes of commission of the crime change, such that in 2 seconds, someone can receive or distribute thousands of images, that's no longer and this is what the commission found in their studies, an indicator of a person who, relative to other people, has committed this crime in a more aggravated way.
Well,
and so what we're trying to do is be rational in our dealing with some of the most horrible kinds of behavior. This is what our justice system is about. It's about judges making determinations in meting out penalties to people who have done terrible things.
It is not rational to take the venue of choice of child pornographers, the computer that have 85 million.
Right. What's worse? Is it someone? What's indicative of the worst behavior? Is it someone going online and downloading, say, 500 images of, like, what we're talking about, right? One time? Or is it someone 100 times going on and looking at and downloading one image 100 separate times? Like, what's indicative of the more egregious behavior or attitude, do you think? Because to me, I'd be looking at the second guy and I'd be going, well, you've done this 100 separate occasions. You've had this urge and you've gone and engaged in that crime, right? That to me is way worse than someone, you know, doing it once. And even though there's more images that are involved, right? Also, what's worse? What's worse? Okay? Someone going and downloading 1,000 just kind of online images that already exist of what we're talking about. Or is it someone custom ordering like 10 images from some nonce that they can contact to get custom stuff for through the dark web or whatever? And they order 10 separate pieces of media involving like 10 different, you know. Like, that's way worse. Right? So the point I'm making is the volume of images isn't as important as the context in which the offender is doing what they're doing, right? Tricky one. Listen, Akala, you are the classic archetype of like a deranged person who just says nonce bad and that's it. You've got no conception of this. You've got no reality in this. You literally just think nonce bad, nonce bad, nonce bad, right? But the truth of it is, well, how is that tricky? In my last example, the first person is getting stuff that already exists, but the second person means that more children are getting hurt to create the content they're going to consume. If you think those are fucking hard to judge what's worse, you literally don't care about kids. You just want a virtue signal online, okay? Your approach means more kids get hurt.
To Chud Nation.
You're fucking
Good
disgusting.
morning, I've been offline for a bit. I heard the left
Hey!
has exploded. I'm hoping you can pick up the pieces.
Thank you very
Chud.
much, Chucking. I'm doing my best. Appreciate you.
And images on it and not consider that feeding the beast. We're trying to get people to stop this crap. So when you troll on the internet and you pull down thousands of images of children from the internet, I want you to stop that. I want people to go to jail who do that because you're feeding the beast. We have a bill here, the Earn It Act, that would allow the victims who are on the internet over and over again to sue the media companies that provide these images. We have a fundamental differences.
Again, making... I mean, this is UK law, but maybe it's similar. Yes. Sure, I don't think that downloading an image is the same as producing the image, right? And if that's the same, that's insane. God, people are so fucking insane on this issue, I swear to God. It's not a question between harsh sentence or not. It's a question between harsh sentence versus harsher sentence. If you don't make that great gradation, you lose all coercive force of the criminal mind once they decide to do the mildest thing. Yeah, exactly. You've got to have less. So the reason as well you've got to have a gradients in how you do it is, let's say that the sentence, I don't know what the reality of it is, right? But let's say that the sentence for downloading 100 images is the same as for downloading 1,000, and it doesn't matter whether you do it all in one go over a period of time or something weird like that, then it's going to create a situation where the person is like, well, I've broken it already, I'm going to continue on, right? Do you see what I mean? Like, you've got to have a level of like, right, you know, it's like, okay, you fucked up and you downloaded a bunch of shit and it's wrong, but it's not the same as you doing it like a number of times over a period of time, not only because it demonstrates more of a pattern of a behavior that way, but then it means you've got the tools with which to effectively punish people more harshly for doing what is generally going to be the worst thing, right? God. Good morning. Daily reminder that dehumanizing people, even if they are nonces or Nazis, is bad. Not because of what it does to the Nazis or Nazis, but because of what it does to us as people. I like that, Chucking. That's a nice little saying. But yeah, I don't know. The act of downloading makes the indecent image on a device upon which the image has been downloaded. Well, that's stupid. Downloading an image is not the same as actually photographing a kid, right? Like, what the fuck? That's insane. I don't know how that affects sentencing and stuff. But I disagree with that.
Of how you deter crime. I think the best way you deter crime when it comes to child pornography
sure.
is you lower the
bad
boom
law
on anybody who goes onto the internet and pulls out these images for their pleasure.
Senator, every person in all of these charts and documents, I sent to jail.
Wait! Oh
because
no! Oh my God! Okay, I've just been reminded. I've been meaning to tell you about this, chat. Okay. My ex got catfished by a nonce. Okay. Oh my God, this is so bad, right? This is so bad. No, not as a child. Recently, okay? So, one of my boys has got like he's on the spectrum somewhere, right? So she's in like this like, you know, autism support group or whatever on Facebook, right? Okay? And like she was like, she posted something or said something or replied to a comment or something like that, right? Now, here's the thing. My ex is not, she can be a bit like of an idiot, okay? With like some of this stuff. Like I told you recently, she nearly got bamboozled and ended up going to a Scientology church to have a Dianetics test or whatever it's called, right? So like she is sometimes easily bamboozled, right? So she gets a message off the back of a post she's done in this autism group, okay? Thank you very much for the sub. And it's from like another like concerned mother, okay? She's like another, well, I say she, but this other person is apparently a concerned mother whose kids have also got like some sort of developmental disorder or something like that, right? So there's kind of messaging, and it's just kind of normal at first. This other person is like, oh, it's hard, isn't it? And they talk generally about stuff, right? And then this other person starts talking about how when her kids get home, they have to take their socks off so they don't slip up on the floor, okay? Bit of a weird detail, but nonetheless, the conversation kind of continues, but Wax is a bit weirded out. And then, right, this person starts talking about how they've bought tights for their kids to wear. Like, you know, are they called tights in the US? And it's like, oh yeah, I bought some tights for like my kids to wear around the house so they don't slip up, right? And it's like, right, okay. And then it like continues to go on from there. And then, right, this person starts asking whether my daughter, my daughter ever wears tights, right? And then starts asking my ex whether she wears tights, okay? Like, what? And then this person says to my ex, hey, if I send you some tights and some sweets, will you, like, take a picture of your daughter wearing the tights and send it to me so I can show my kids? Right? And this person sends a photo of their so-called kid wearing some tights. And at that point, my ex talks to me about it. It's like, what's going on here then? I'm like, she tells me about it. I'm like, listen, that's a nonce. That's a nonce with a foot fetish. The worst kind of nonce. What are you doing? I was like, you didn't send them anything. She's like, no, I didn't. I was a bit weirded out by it and I stopped. And I was just like, Jesus Christ, like, you've got to stop with this. Like, she's quite a, she's a really good mother and stuff, but, like, what? Like, how are you getting bamboozled? That's horrible. And it works. It does work sometimes. I mean, presumably this picture that this person sent was another mother.
Welcome to Chud Nation.
Thank you for the sub. It's not an opportune time, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Obviously some other mother that this person had bamboozled got him to send a picture of this kid in tight. Oh, God, it's just horrible. It doesn't bear thinking about. And yeah, I tell you what, my daughter's got a tablet, right? And it's one of those Amazon Kids tablets. So it's like totally locked down. You know, if she wants to download an app, I have to approve it and all this stuff. So it's all like completely legit. But Jesus Christ, like, if these people are able to do that sort of thing with adults, like imagine the kind of lengths they're going to go to with kids who don't know any better in some cases. Like, Jesus Christ. Hey, thank you for the bits. Anyway, I just wanted to share that story because I thought it was quite apt as we're talking about this. I thought you were...
Welcome
okay.
to Chud Nation.
Obviously, in the case of a nonce, it's different. Thank you for the sub. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that story. Just a fun little tale to share with you. Okay, let's continue.
Know how serious this crime is. Every person, I discussed the harm of these terrible, terrible images to the victims who are portrayed in them. I talked about what this crime does to the children who are being abused in these photos, and on the other side of their terms of imprisonment, I ensured that they were facing lengthy periods of supervision and restrictions on their computer use so they could not do this sort of thing again. That's what Congress has required of judges, and that's what I did in every case.
You always will under the recommendation of the prosecutor, many times the parole people. And to be honest with you, Judge, a 32-year-old man who sent an image of his own 10-year-old daughter, you substantially reduced the not only the guidelines, but the recommendation. And all I can say is that your view of how to deter child pornography It's not my view. I think you're doing it wrong, and every judge who does what you're doing is making it easier for the children to be
So
exploited.
I'd like to know more about that case. But yeah, it is obviously that is obviously like shock imagery, right? I mean, it sounds bad, but obviously without full understanding of what it is. Like, what is the downgrade as well? Like, how long did the person get? Like, if that person was like facing 100 years in prison, and it's like, well, you do 10 or 20. Like, I don't know. Like, is that? It just, we need to know more context. But he's positioned it in such a way that it just triggers that emotional response, right? Of like, oh my God, what? Like, oh, you know, and you put the pieces together in your head, and before you know it, you're thinking this person's getting a slap on the wrist. Yeah, I mean, I suppose the reason that they would say that is they even if they don't deal with it directly. Hey, Miss Mortician, thanks for the gifted. Appreciate you. Is I guess it's about judgment, right? I don't know. Wait. Oh, this is about someone else. Republican senators are what is this? Focused on a single case from 2013 in which they argue she was inappropriately leaning on a teenager who pleaded guilty. This person was 18 years old. This is a different case than what we just heard about. But this person was 18. Oh, God. It was pretty bad what they were looking at, to be fair, but Jesus. Anyway, no, I'm trying to find that other one, the specific one they're talking about.
If you're on a computer right now looking at a kid in a sexually compromising situation and you get caught, I hope nobody gives you a break because you used the computer.
The conduct that's been described is reprehensible, and I think everyone in this room agrees. And the fact of the matter is that I'm co-sponsor of your bill, the Earn It Act, and I believe that we should be doing our job here.
Oh, yeah, no, it's really bad what they were looking at. I was just reading the article there. I don't think I'm going to go over it in more detail than that. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's bad. But my basic point is, like, there are absolutely nuances to this. Unfortunately, we can't just base our punishments and our criminal justice system on nonce is bad. We've got to go a little bit deeper than that, okay? We've got to go a little bit deeper than just nonce is bad. It's like, well, you know, let's actually look at the details of the case. I mean, that's what court is all about, right? That's what judges do. That's what the legal system does. Is it's supposed to look at the nuances of these situations and issue out the correct, situation, circumstance, punishment, whatever.
Nodsworth gifted a tier 1 sub to X Encrypted. They have
Thank you very much for the gifted.
Gift subs in the channel.
And it's very easy to be like a backseat judge, you know? We should be pushing for the death penalty for all nonces. Yeah, Akala, like I say, your position actually means that more children are going to be harmed. So, yeah, you basically support that stuff. So, good luck to you. I'm actually going to ban you because I don't support having people that support nonces in my chat. So, yeah, we're going to ban you for that. This is a nonce-free zone, okay?
But part of our job, we have failed in responding to the changing circumstances that face this crime. What has it been, 15 or 16 years? She is currently not an outlier in sentencing. 70% of the federal judges face the same dilemma and wonder why Congress has failed to act and when it will act.
This is our fault.
Partially it is, Senator. To be honest with you, it is. We have to upgrade these guidelines and decide whether we're going to stick with the Supreme Court decision that they're not mandatory.
Oh.
Senator Feinstein.
Sorry, what was that? I missed that last
believe that
bit.
we should be doing our job here. But part of our job, we have failed in responding to the changing circumstances that face this crime. What has it been, 15 or 16 years? She is currently not an outlier in sentencing. 70% of the federal judges face the same dilemma and wonder why Congress has failed to act and when it will act.
This is our fault.
Partially it is, Senator. To be honest with you, it is. We have to upgrade.
There's the Giga Chat energy. You said it's my fault? Yes, partially it is, bitch. Get on with it. I agree. The law does need to be updated. It sounds like the law. It sounds like the law is backwards, and it's based on a time before the internet is as prevalent as it is now. Yeah. I don't know. What's this? I can't watch it right now. I'm doing this segment, but yeah. Anyway, watch this as well. I think this is part of it, isn't it? I'm enjoying this. I feel like I'm actually doing some politics for the first time in a little while. It's a welcome, refreshing change.
Jackson, as I listen to your testimony, I believe you are someone who is compassionate. I believe you care for children, obviously your children and other children. But I also see a record of activism and advocacy as it concerns sexual predators that stems back decades and that is concerning. You wrote your note on the Harvard Law Review on sex crimes. Your note is your major academic work on the Law Review, and yours is entitled Prevention versus Punishment Towards a Principled Distinction in the Restraint of Released Sex Offenders. And in it, you argue, and I quote, a recent spate of legislation purports to regulate released sex offenders by requiring them to register with local law enforcement officials, notify community members of their presence, undergo DNA testing, and submit to civil commitment for an indefinite term. Although many courts and commentators herald these laws as valid regulatory measures, others reject them as punitive and
Yeah. It's easy to blame judges. Yeah, it sounds like judges are trying to work within a very outdated system and trying to do the best thing they can to balance between the punishment that is expected in our society versus not completely ending someone's existence for, you know, if you were to look at the details, you'd probably go, well, that's not as bad as like literally making it or doing something to a kid, you know? And yeah, a lot of this does sound like there's not much context. A lot of it is that we don't really understand the exact nature of it. They just kind of gesture towards it. And if you can paint a narrative that someone is basically letting off people that have hurt children easily, then you're good to go. Well, that's such a good smear against someone, you know?
enactments that violate the rights of individuals who have already been sanctioned for their crimes. Under existing doctrine, the constitutionality of sex offender statutes depends upon their characterization as essentially preventative rather than punitive. And what you go on to explain
So,
is...
sorry, this is all... Because obviously we started off here. And yeah, so, if, you know, this... Yeah, I do definitely agree with Hassan. Like, Hassan is right in his comments here. I think it's quite clear that's what's happening here, you know? And yeah, if you do think that having a level of lenient sentencing is the right way to go forward, you're immediately seen as supporting the crime, instead of actually, like I say, I don't know what the data would say on it, but I wouldn't be surprised if it transpired that having, say, like a slightly more lenient sentence or something, and having a more, you know, onerous approach to like their computer usage and having more monitoring and stuff like that. I don't know. I wonder if that might help. Like I said earlier, restricting access is going to help stop it from happening. And if you have like monitored, restricted internet use after they come out, and you get that, but also you have maybe a slightly shorter sentence, to me, that would seem to be a positive step forward to actually... And also, the other thing as well is having like psychological support too, because if you have the disorder, the actual disordered behavior, you can't just stop with the force of your own will. It's like being schizophrenic and expecting to stop being schizophrenic just through the force of your own will. You probably need some sort of treatment. You need some sort of therapy, you know, so it needs to come as part of it too. But I think the unfortunate reality is people would rather just virtue signal about nonces being bad than actually think about what is the best way to stop people from offending in the first place. And also, if someone has offended, particularly if it's a more minor offense, how do we make it so they don't offend again? You know?
They're viewed as punitive, they are unconstitutional. If they're viewed as preventative, they are not. And throughout the course of your note, you argue they should be viewed as punitive and therefore unconstitutional. Indeed, in the second to last page, you go through each of those four categories. You say requirements that sex offenders register may or may not be unconstitutional, depending upon whether, quote, in which sex offenders have no privacy right in registration information or blood samples. So you suggest that may or may not be constitutional, although you raise doubts about it. And then you raise
Hey,
very
thanks a lot. That's
significant
really generous
doubts
of you.
about
Hey.
community
That would be boring
notification.
if you could just stop being
And you heavily
schizophrenic through the
suggest
force of
that
your
civil
will.
commitment
for the
for
dollar.
sexual predators is unconstitutional. Do you still agree with the sentiments you expressed in your law school note?
Respectfully, Senator, those are not the sentiments that I expressed in my law school note. My law school note was about...
Wait, is he drinking like a bottle of drink? That's so weird. Is that like a Dr. Pepper or something? That's so weird to see. Normally they got water, a Diet Coke. No, it looks like Diet Dr. Pepper. He's having a little guzzle on that, is he? And a little guzzle.
About sex offender registration laws, which at the time were relatively new. As you know from our
Man's got
time in law
taste.
school, one of the things that law school students do is they look for new developments in the law and they try to analyze them. That's something that makes for good fodder for a law school note. My note, which came out in 1996, was shortly after there were new Megan's laws. And the point that I was making was not that the laws were bad, that the laws were wrong. I was trying to assess something that is sort of fundamental in terms of the characterization of the laws. I didn't say that they were unconstitutional one way or the other. What I was trying to assess was how they are characterized. Some courts would look at those laws and call them preventative, and that has a certain set of consequences. Some courts would call
By the
them...
way, sorry, can I just get a little litmus test in chat? Like, I don't know anything about this woman. Like, you know, I'm not really that interested in whether she gets through or not to the next stage. Is it a bit like X Factor? Does she go through this and then she goes and she does like a live performance on stage in front of an audience of people, maybe does like a judgment on something, and then based on audience votes as to whether she gets it or not? In any case, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, the point I'm making is I actually like really agree with her. Like, I think she's on the money, and I really agree with the sentiment of sentencing based on... I mean, it makes perfect sense, doesn't it, right? You can't sentence someone for doing something on the internet based on guidelines that were set up for someone doing something by mail. This is right before the live cockroach eating segment. It makes perfect sense to me. Like, why would you do that? Like, you want to update laws to meet the needs of the current time. And the internet has had such a foundational change on the way a lot of stuff works that, yeah, I think that, yeah, it makes sense to update those laws. No laws around internet. What do you mean?
and punitive, and that has a certain set of consequences.
Lux, do you know what we're talking about? When you say make it open source free for all, you know we're talking about, like, you know what we're talking about, don't you? You haven't come in late, because that's going to sound very bad if you do know what we're talking about. Oh, no.
And what I was trying to do is figure out how to make the determination, whether they were punitive or preventative.
Well, your note argued that they were punitive, and I would note that view, there have been some on the bench that have advocated that. The Supreme Court in 1997 decided a case called Kansas versus Hendricks, in which it upheld Kansas's civil commitment statute. That was a 5-4 vote. This has been a question that has been close at the Supreme Court, and I would note beyond that in terms of the prevalence of these statutes, all 50 states and D.C. have registry requirements. 47 states have community notification requirements. All 50 states have DNA or blood banks for sex offenders requirements. And 20 of the states, the federal government in D.C., have laws that allow for the indefinite detention of sex offenders. I would note in the state of Texas, a state court of appeals, relying on very much the same sort of reasoning you advocated in your note, struck down Texas's sexually violent predator civil commitment law. At the time I was the Solicitor General of Texas, I personally argued that appeal in the Texas Supreme Court. And the Texas Supreme Court unanimously reversed the Court of Appeals and upheld our statute. And if the views you advocated in law school prevailed, civil commitment laws across the country would be struck down, releasing sexual predators.
Okay, I don't know what this is. I'm confused. Is there anything more I need to watch of this? I've had enough of old men talking. Old white men talking. Oh, I've heard it all before. We need this. This is why we need this woman confirmed on the Supreme Court. Because we need another woman. We need another woman. And not only that, a black one too. That's what we need in the halls of power, okay? Get some more minorities in there. Maybe next we can get a Chinese person in there. What do you reckon? And and if listen, this is what you might hear. So let's imagine that there was a Chinese person being confirmed for the Supreme Court. Okay, this is what you might hear at that sort of questioning. No, I'm not going to do it. No, I can't. I'm on a knife's edge as it is. I'm on a knife's edge as it is. Cease. Cease. I'm going to get in trouble. Right, come on. Stop messing around. Anyway, look, sorry. We've gone off on a massive tangent. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, it seems like there's a lot of info here about it. Judge Jackson handed down a lenient sentence that was below what the federal guidelines recommended and below what prosecutors requested, he said. But Hawley did not include the probation office recommendations in any of the 7 cases. So presumably there was like guidelines for the probation, like internet usage and stuff like that, that probably wasn't included, that would have, you know, obviously made... Yeah. Well, this is like an easy optical slam dunk for the Republicans and their followers, right? Like nothing gets people's rage up than giving a nonce, than not. Basically, if you aren't taking a nonce and you know, hanging them, drawing them, and quartering them, if you're not doing that to a nonce, you know, you're not doing good enough, basically. So yeah, it's a red rag to a bull. But yeah, Jackson spoke to the importance of considering all factors, including the presenting report filed by the probation office. The probation office is the arm of the court that does faction investigation. Oh, God. So what is this? See, look, this... So this one, but this is one where the lad was 18, right? So that looks bad, but the lad was 18. So 24 months, sentencing guideline 97 to 121, 24, 18 in 3 months. And I mean, look, 70 months, 60 months, like, negligible. Really. Yeah, I don't know. This just seems like clutching at straws, really. This just seems like clutching at straws. Like, just to get some dirt on her. Yeah. Anyway, this is Mucho Texto. Let's go back to Twitter because it's easier to read. Okay, so, right. So Hassan, so coming back from that tangent, Hassan was talking about this person and their sentencing. Good point by Hassan. Agree with Hassan here. But then Anna starts talking about California. What's California got to do with anything? Like that, this isn't what Hassan's talking about, right? Based Anna, not afraid to take an unpopular stance on the online left. She's correct. Rehabilitative justice is the goal, but what's going on in San Francisco, LA is not working. Thank you. You get it 100%. In California, does anyone know anything about this? This is a whole different angle. In California, what passes for rehabilitation is to just reduce the prison population, refuse to prosecute violent crime, and offer no real court-mandated programs as an alternative to jail time. Oh, that's libs of TikTok, but sadly I'm blocked by them. Can you expand on what you mean by refuse to prosecute violent crime and examples? Like, I don't know, her tweet here is really sucks as well. Like, I feel like she said this. It feels like a bit like a Mott and Bailey, right? Like, this, like, if you didn't know it was Anna Kasparian, this could be like a conservative tweeting this out, right? So she's tweeted this out and not even used all the characters. And then she goes to saying, well, there's this specific problem that's happening in California, which I don't even know if it's linked to rehabilitative justice, is it? I don't know enough about it. But it seems like it's just kind of an incompetent DA, maybe. I don't know. Like, that's what it seems to be, more so than it being like, oh, yeah, like, oh, they're trying rehabilitative justice and it's just not working. Let's have a look at this. Jude sent me this. Thank you, Jude. Appreciate you. Let's watch this.
What? We've seen the rehabilitative... Wait, what? We've seen the rehabilitative approach play out in California. If that's what you think works, we're in a lot of trouble. Wait, what? When people are getting stabbed to death at work and bus drivers are getting assaulted daily with no consequences at all, I think it's an issue. Wait, what the... Is Anna hacked? What is happening? No shot. True, the California prison system is awesome. Wait, I actually don't know what this is. I mean, I'll text her. That's so weird and like...
Yeah. So, like, he's talking about something else. And she's come along and she's like saying something totally unrelated to the point he's making, essentially. And so he's like, what's going on? And yeah, she comes across as like a conservative almost, you know, in terms of like, she's like completely dismissing the concept of rehabilitative justice because of some problem happening in California, which doesn't really seem to be related to rehabilitative justice at all. Just sounds like someone's incompetent. I don't know enough about it, though. If this person has said, we are trying rehabilitative justice and we're going to do this, this, and this, yeah, I would say that that's obviously silly.
So not like her? You were talking about this yesterday on TYT. Wait, really? What? Not allowed to have a different take? Dude, we're talking about someone who's like a sister to me that I've known for like 20 years. Of course I'm going to be... Can I have a moment of surprise when I find out that like some of her positions have changed almost dramatically since the last time I talked to her? What? You don't have to agree with me. Plenty of people don't. Not a typical lib take. Well, Anna is not a typical lib. No, it's not. When people are getting stabbed to death at work and bus drivers are getting assaulted daily with no consequences at all, I think it's an issue. What? Mike says there isn't a single state.
Listen, I agree with Hassan here. I'm gonna say it how it is. I agree with Hassan. I think he's right on this. I think that, you know, he's tweeted something which clearly in reference to the Supreme Court thing is a legitimate point. And then Anna's come along with almost like a non sequitur, right?
State in the United States that does the rehabilitation. I mean, he's right. Anna is right as though. Okay, I'm losing it a little bit. 38-month subscriber.
I mean, yeah, Mike's just Mike's just like scrabbling about for a bit of clout. Okay.
First of all, the rehabilitative approach in California. I don't even know what she's talking about.
Yes, that's what I had as well. I had that. I was like, what? You like, what does she mean? Like, when you know the context of he's talking about the Supreme Court thing, it makes no sense to talk about it literally just. It's not related to it at all. It's nothing to do with the topic at hand.
That happened in California, unless she's talking about like the prisoner early releases and whatnot. If she's talking about like lenient sentencing and sentencing reform being bad, I don't know what to tell you. That's like not appropriate. I feel like I just got hit in the face with like, yeah, refusing to prosecute violent criminals is definitely his fault. Wait, what? I don't think she would be. I don't think she's like starting her Dave Rubin arc or whatever. I don't know. I'm surprised by this. If anything, it feels like she got frenzied by all of the insane and I mean insane amounts of fucking conservative agitprop that pops off in the California TV. Straight up has like broken the brains of everyone. On the TYT page, there's a recent video from talking about
So
cash
I want to
bail.
move on to cash bail. I think it's a super important issue, and I feel like it might be one of those issues where we put the cart before the horse, because of the fact that crime is classified in very strange ways in this state. So before we get to those details, I want to go to a video.
What it sounds like is that Ana Kasparian. Yeah, I can see here. I'll have a look at it in a sec. It seems like Ana Kasparian has got this is like a personal thing for her because she's spoken to this DA guy, and it's probably that she's seen Hassan's take, and because she's got this on her mind, that's where it's come from. You know? Yeah, I don't know.
Video featuring an interview that you did on Democracy Now! This is where you were talking about what your goals were.
Crime has increased a lot, though. That's what keeps being said. No, crime has not increased a lot. That's bullshit. The type of crime that we're talking about that has increased a lot is not like property crime. Crime is literally down. You're fucking wrong. The only thing that's gone up is murder. And trust me, the violent murder is not happening in your fucking neighborhoods. It's happening in impoverished.
Is that true? I don't know. I thought... Actually, I don't know either way. I don't know either way. I'm going to be honest. I don't know either way. Where are we talking about, though? Is it California specifically? And yeah, listen, I'm not particularly placated. Listen, I'm not placated by the idea of, oh yeah, well, it's only murder that's going up. Just chill. It's only a couple more murders. Multiple places. Yeah, I don't know either way, but I mean, yeah, I wouldn't know how to... You'd have to look at the stats and whatever. Oh, what's this? What's this? Disaster center. How the fuck am I supposed to read this? What? I can't read this. I can't take this in. It's like literally, I feel like I'm having a stroke just looking at it. Okay, fucking hell. Is there not something that's a bit easier to read? Is there not something with like a graph? Can I not look at a graph? This is the Matrix. You have to learn to see it. The numbers, Mason. What do they mean? Thank you. In 2021, some crime rates seem to increase, with homicides continuing to rise. While California's violent crime rate has decreased somewhat, homicides and aggravated assaults have increased. Oh. So, I think, yeah, it looks like property crime has gone down, I think. Has it? So it got really bad in the 70s. Well, it depends. Well, yeah, it has. It has gone down. Okay, that's interesting. But that's it. It depends when you're comparing it to. Like, if you're comparing it from 26... Well, I mean, even 2016 to 2020, it's gone down there. Yeah, I don't know. The statewide property crime rate has declined. Okay, well, that is true. That is correct. But obviously, murder is probably more to be worried about than property crime, right? I don't know. That's all right, Spaniard. No, don't apologise. It's my fault for being stupid. So Hassan was right. It's going down. The link I made. You can see from 2010, the total crimes versus the other states. You can see it going down. No, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Yeah, okay. Well, I don't know. Even so. Let's continue.
Neighborhoods, okay? But because the media talks about crime fucking blasting nonstop, you also feel like crime is up. You're literally looking at an anecdote from a media organ that is operating at the behest of the police, who is using this like defund the police movement as though it was like even remotely effective to shit on lenient sentencing, like people that want to fucking push for lenient sentencing, as though they are the reason why crime is up. That DAs are not fucking stopping criminals. And
I'm very skeptical about the idea that lenient sentencing leads to an increase in crime. I don't believe that's the case. Like, I mean, obviously it depends on, like, obviously if like, for example, right, if someone murdered someone and they were like, right, normally that would be life in prison, but you get 6 months instead. Yeah, maybe that might be a bit of an influence, right? But like, it depends on how much leniency we're talking about, right? And it depends what other programs are in place too, you know? So yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It depends on the context. There's too much fucking there. There's too many factors to really say with a strong degree of certainty. And it depends who you're being lenient with. I agree. Yeah. I mean, it's a very complicated situation. Obviously, someone's background, someone's criminal history, all of this stuff, all of it's going to have an impact, you know? Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking, right? I don't think someone commits a crime and goes, well, I know that they're being a bit more lenient on this particular crime, so I'm going to go and do this crime, and then if I'm lucky, I'll get a lenient sentence. I don't think that's the way that criminals work, right? Who here has committed a crime? Who here has committed a crime? I've committed a crime. I'm sure other people here have committed a crime, right? When you've committed a crime, has the thought process of what sentence you're going to get and what leniency you may receive played a factor in A, whether you've committed the crime, and B, what kind of crime you've done? Exactly. I think most people don't think they're going to get caught. And yeah, I agree with you. I think that if you've offended before, if you're like a repeat offender, maybe you might have some more insight into it. But then that's a lot more of a complicated issue again because of like recidivism and what actually causes someone to offend again. Is it leniency in sentencing or other issues that come into play? Like, there's so many factors at play. It's very difficult to draw any hard lines unless you actually go and do some research and look into it with a fine-tooth comb in detail, you know?
And that also cops, because they're defunded, can't actually stop criminals at all. No, they're just lazy shitbirds that don't actually ever fucking try to stop crime in general. They're using this as an opportunity to say, oh, we've been defunded. $3 billion budget, we've been defunded. No one has been defunded. Hey, if you like this video, please.
Repeat offending is the problem. Releasing not reformed people is bad. Yeah, of course. I 100% agree with you. And that's why just sticking someone in jail for 10 or 15 years or however long, or even 3 years, without a solid plan of how to get them to, you know, come out and not offend again is wrong. Yeah. Anyway, there we go. So there's, I mean, I don't know if there's any further drama off the back of that, but yeah. Oh, hang on, I've gone over this on stream before about this shoplifting thing. Yeah, I've looked at this before. I don't want to go over it again. But no, I remember I read about it, and I think I kind of flip-flopped a bit because I saw one article, then I saw another article, and I wasn't quite sure what was correct. And then there was another article. Basically, it's complicated, okay? Who would have thought crime across an entire city is a very complicated affair? We literally remove people we deem unacceptable from society, strip them of their humanity, traumatize them, ruin their lives, and then release them expecting them to be better, well-adjusted humans. Oh yeah, it's like inhuman. It's mental. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm very much for a better system, and definitely like. The state of some US prisons is like insane. Like you literally take people who are like the dregs of society, stick them in a big box where there's a high chance they're going to be raped or physically assaulted, and then act surprised when they come out like worse. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just like, how is this improving society? Anyway, there we go.